Welcome back to That's Rank, and today we are headed out to the ballpark to check out the latest culinary craze that's sweeping America, the apple pie hot dog. Field of Dreams was a 1989 cinematic classic starring Kevin Costner, who plays a farmer with undiagnosed mental issues. In it, he listens to the voices in his head who tell him to turn his Iowa cornfield into a baseball stadium, which yields the return of 8 ghosts from baseball's disgraced past. These former White Sox players were expelled from the game following the 1919 World Series, in which they took money to intentionally lose games. Naturally, there are protagonists. Baseball has a long history of romanticizing both cheating and capitalism. And if you don't believe me, check out the examples seen here, 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 and here. Maybe not that last one. He makes us all feel a little bit icky. 32 years later, Kevin Costner's dream became reality. As set right next to the original movie set, magic was born. On that Iowa cornfield, the Yankees and White Sox were put together to do battle for one night only to determine once and for all who was the champion of that one regular season game. Baseball went all out for this one, from the old-timey scoreboard to the wood that adorned the outfield walls, and even this one announcer looked like a cake eater who was checking out the gams on the flappers. Heck, even the White Sox got one of the ghosts to manage their team for the night. Naturally, the sponsors wanted in on this as well, and Chevrolet announced that their favorite scene was the one where the young man shoved his wiener inside an apple pie. Hold up, Chevrolet. I think that's a completely different movie. Unfortunately, they rented the wrong VHS tape down at the old Jumbo Video. And before they realized their mistake, they had already pitched the idea to America's finest chef.
How you doing? I'm Guy Fieri.
And believe it or not, before Guy could even squeeze himself into his finest extra small Ed Hardy shirt, the mayor of Flavortown had declared that he was all in.
Well, with no other choice ahead, it was time to make our own apple pie hot dog. Step 1 is to gather the ingredients, all of which I'm certain that you have laying around in your well-stocked pantry. They are apple pie filling, bacon jam, demerara sugar, which apparently just means raw sugar, and I wish somebody had told me that up front, and I would have saved an awful lot of time. You'll also need a beaten egg, apple pie spice, a pie crust, which isn't pictured here, but I was keeping it cool in the fridge because I'm told that's something you do with dough if you're baking things. And finally, we'll be making our own apple mustard because it doesn't actually exist, since no one ever thought that was a good idea until Guy Fieri came up with it. Step 1 is to retrieve your pie crust from the fridge and attempt to awkwardly unroll it. After swearing a few times, it's now time to trim it. The recipe calls for a 3-inch by 5-inch cut, but honestly, measuring's for suckers, so you do what feels right. Please try not to be intimidated by my awesome knife skills. Once you're done, move the crust to the side so it looks like you know what you're doing. Now we prepare the egg. Grab a fork from the drawer to beat your egg, and make sure it's a fork. Find your nearest paintbrush and indulge your inner Bob Ross. Not to worry if your lines aren't straight. There's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. Early warning, there's a gratuitous shot of my can ahead. Take your apple pie filling and place it on one side of the dough. You're supposed to be mashing it down with a fork, but I forgot to do that. Much as I forgot that one side of the dough was all I was supposed to do. Next, place your bacon jam where you'd put your apple pie filling. Now you want to grab a jumbo wiener and immediately realize why measuring was important. Well, for today's experiment, I suppose we'll be growers, not showers. Now grab the fork that you should have been using to mash the apple pie with and try to figure out how to crimp the sides. Rest assured, it's almost certainly easier than I'm making it look. Now it's time for those fun final little touches before it takes its final resting spot in the oven. Sprinkle the sugar in the raw on top. Immediately wonder why it's not sticking. And then go backwards and put the egg wash on that you were supposed to do before sprinkling the sugar. With the egg wash firmly acting like glue, put the sugar and the apple pie spice on top of the pie. At this stage, it should look like a sad turtle hiding inside its shell. Carefully place this hot mess inside an even hotter oven. Now you'll want to prepare your apple mustard. The recipe calls for equal parts mustard and apple pie filling, so try to measure as carefully as you can see that I did here. Blend it all together until... oh, damn it! Blend until smooth. After that time well spent making mustard, it's finally here. My apple pie hot dog is... ready to go.
Well, friends, we've seen it, I've smelled it, and the only thing left to do is to try it. No. 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 It's just a milkshake. It's just a milkshake. We're gonna get this down. Let's start where this goes wrong, and it really starts with that horrible mustard. I realize it's literally just apples and mustard. Why doesn't that work? I don't know, but when you ate pork chops and applesauce as a kid, you didn't slather it in mustard in the meantime. Guy Fieri, you should be ashamed and embarrassed. But then the whole thing is a walking disaster. You've got the weird mustard. You've got the salty hot dog. You've got that sickeningly sweet apple base. You've got the super weird, smoky bacon, bourbon, whatever that gunk was in the middle. The crispy crust. You're trying to do too many things at the same time, and it doesn't work. This is Guy Fieri summed up in a dish. It's way too much. But hey, that's just one man's opinion. Let's find out what the rest of the internet is saying. Let's head up to my office, check some online reviews of this disgusting apple pie hot dog. Let's start with Christopher Crawford, who writes, "Look, I find the Fieri's vitriol to be a bit much, but this isn't helping." Jessica Kleinschmidt writes, "A little too Murica for me." Corey writes, "That apple pie hot dog that Guy Fieri made is an abomination unto humanity." Do you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember that episode of Friends where Rachel wants to make the group a traditional English trifle? The problem is that the pages stick together and she winds up combining a shepherd's pie with the English trifle. So you've got ground beef, sauteed peas mixed in with the custard and the jam. That's what this is. And to quote Ross, it tastes like feet. Hey, our first foray into the kitchen was a total disaster, but at the end of the day, we answered the question, do hot dogs and apple pies go together? Absolutely not. In the meantime, if you've got ideas for things that you want me to try, please comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you again for joining us on That's Rank.